So let's talk a little bit more about President-elect Trump's grand plans. Jim Zirin's a contributor for Washington Monthly. He's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Jim, good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's good to see you, Jim.
I think what struck me today, because here is Donald Trump, who has positioned himself as this master negotiator, the art of the deal. Yet the one thing that came up today that I think caught some people off guard is when he wouldn't rule out the idea of enlisting military force in some of these endeavors. It's one thing to get world leaders to a table and thinking, what can we get out of this? What do you want from us in return? It's another thing, as Republicans have positioned themselves as saying, Donald Trump is the anti-war president, to not take military action off the table. I think that's what caught myself and many others off guard.
Well, he ruled it out with respect to Canada, and he says that he can annex Canada through economic force. But, there's a possibility. Canadians are, of course, I think, opposed and always have been opposed to annexation. There's nothing new about this idea. It started at the time of the American Revolution. It was talked about in the 19th century, the War of 1812, and thereafter, the doctrine of manifest destiny, that America could expand its power from ocean to ocean, and that included Canada for a while. But looking at it politically today, I don't think there's any appetite in Canada for annexation. There may be an interest on the part of Canadians in the kind of economic union that there exists in Europe, because Trump is threatening them with 25% tariffs. They're not doing well economically. They're the second largest country in the world. I think they're the seventh largest economy, but their economy is failing. They are big exporters to the United States, mostly oil and gas, and there may be some virtue that Canadians see in a kind of economic union. Trump's ruled out military force, of course. I don't see the United States Army invading Canada, and I don't think there's any appetite in the country to do it. Then, of course, there's the cost of doing this. Let's take Greenland. There are 56,000 people in Greenland. Now, if the United States wanted to give each citizen of Greenland $1 million to vote for annexation, it's only $56 billion. That's not a great deal of money for us. But whether the Congress would authorize it, whether it would involve borrowing and raising the debt ceiling, these are all pending questions. And what would we accomplish? Trump thinks it would improve our security. Maybe it would. I think if the Russians or the Chinese attack Greenland, we would respond vigorously, whether they're part of the United States or not. Panama is another interesting question. He has said he might use military force to take over Panama. His rationale is, of course, Panama was ceded, the Panama Canal was ceded to the government of Panama in the Carter administration, and then finally accomplished in the Clinton administration. And of course, Trump is very much interested in doing just the opposite of what was done in any Democrat administration. So, the reason that we might go into Panama is that the Panamanians have been unfair in the way they've administered it, and the Chinese are very much interested in the Panama Canal because, of course, it's a gateway to the Pacific, and for trading routes that they would like to expand. And Trump feels that the canal authority has been charging excessive rates.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think they've lived up to their agreement. So he says, all right, we'll go in, we'll take it over. And the president of Panama, the country, has said nothing doing. In fact, Trudeau in Canada said, over my dead body, no chance of a snowball in hell of the United States taking over Canada. But these are very interesting ideas, particularly the American people, I think, elected Trump because they were tired of the old politics, tired of the old ideas, tired of woke, and interested in something new. Now, this is all new. I don't know that it's necessarily good, but it's fun to contemplate it.
Well, hey, I mean, it's certainly guiding a different angle of the conversation. I don't think a lot of people anticipated before he even took office. But Jim Zirin, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate the insight on this.
I'm delighted to be with you.
And you can read more from Jim in Washington Monthly. We're back after this here on The Final Five.